I just wanted to act like my hero getting on the platform by just having to crawl up like an old man. I mean, excuse me, like in, oh, he's not listening. He's okay. And a year ago, this morning, on a Wednesday morning, a year ago, Brother Myers and I, it was like deja vu. We went to Starbucks. I mean, the schedule we did this morning was exactly what we did a year ago. Go to Starbucks, get something to drink, get in his blue car, and we drove up, parked the exact same place. And when we pulled up a year ago, there were two ladies sitting out there. And then I got out and I said, "Hello, ladies, how you doing?" And joked with them and tried to witness to them. And a year ago, we pull up again and pull up. The same two ladies are sitting there. And Brother Myers goes, "I've not seen them. I promise you, Brother Gray, I've come through here all the time, almost every day. I've never seen them." There they were again. So I get out and I say, "My friends, it's been a year." And she was like, "Hello." And it was like, wow. And so she had a flower in her ear like that, and she gave me her flower. We now are friends. And so anyway, so which side makes you, which one makes you, you know, in the 80s, in the 80s when I was a teenager, the one earring came out. And they used to say, if you wear it in the wrong ear, that means you're queer. And so, no, seriously, that was the thinking, you know. So it was okay for a guy to wear an earring. You just couldn't wear. And I'm trying to remember which one was the wrong. One of you old people, was it the right one? It was the wrong one, right? So now it's a double queer. If you, I'm sorry, I better not. And so I better be quiet. I get myself in trouble on that one. So, anyways, but I'm glad to be here. So she gave me the flower. And I promised to get her a husband. She's 80,000 years of age, so I promised to get her a husband. And she said, "No." I said, "What about a rich one?" She goes, "Yes." And so if you're rich and you want to marry an 80-year-old lady, guys, let me know. And I can get you married off. But what wonderful ladies. And somebody said they're angels unawares, and probably are. And so I'm going to put that right there, take it home to my wife. I want you to take your Bibles. We're going to get right into it and go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. And how many are ready for some activities? Ready for some activities? How many are just plain tired? I mean, you're like worn out. It's tough, isn't it? Tough. You had to work all night to pay the mortgage, and you had to work to get money to make sure the lights stay on and make sure that the food's in the cupboard. And you know, this is tough. You're worried about insurance payments and, you know, my retirement. Is it going to be where it needs to be when I'm ready to? Is the government, you know, it's a tough night, wasn't it? And it's kind of been this way for a couple of days. So this is terrible. And, you know, so anyways, I thought I'd give you a hard time. But, all right, if you don't mind, look at, I'm going to use, there it is. And not yet, guys. Am I on? All right, good night. I'm going to be like Brother Johnson. Turn that down just a little bit, if you don't mind. And then don't touch it. Where's your pink jacket? You burned it. Wow. Never mind. And so Brother Johnson was hilarious last night. I love the one about the pajamas, but they're not underneath my pants. And you know, I've been checking to see if they're going to fall down. You ever seen them old timers put on their pants and their pajamas are sticking out about 2 or 3 inches underneath? So, all right, here we go. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, and I want to kind of give you an overview. I'm going to ask you to pay close attention. Get your pen out. I am going to give you some things to write down, and if you'll do that, young people, when you understand that the Bible, out of all of human history, and all out of literally the millions of people that have lived, I want you to think about this. 2 things. That God decided that he would not use all of human history to put into the Bible. You're literally talking about 6,000 plus years of human history. You are talking about millions of people who have lived. And our God reached down and he said this: I'm going to take a select few people. I am going to take a select few important events, and I am going to put them in 66 books. I will tell you about the past. I will tell you about the future, and then you will live in the present. And I will give you, even the Bible tells us that if everything could be recorded that the Lord said and did, that the worlds could not contain. So God knew what he was doing, and that's why this is such a wonderful book right here. He took everything that we would need to know, and he put it into 66 books. And he gave it to you to read, and he gave it to you to carry, and it is your library. Any problem you are going to face is found in that book right there. He did not leave us without instruction. When God puts somebody's name in the book, here's why it was put there. Look at 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 11. And then we're going to go back to the Old Testament. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 11. It says this, now, all these things happen unto them for ensamples or examples. And they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world are come. Wherefore, let him that thinketh he standeth take heed, lest he fall. You know what God's saying here? God's saying, I'm going to put people in the book for examples for you. And if you think you're better than those people, you better think twice. Because if those people could fall, then you could fall. Don't ever think you're better than anybody else around you. And don't ever, teenager, think that when you hear a story of somebody who's out of high school and they're past the turning of the tassel and they are living life and they mess their life up, don't you dare sit here in your sophomore year of high school and think, well, I'm much better than they are and I'll never disgrace my mom and dad like that. Because pride is that number one thing that God hates, and it's the number one thing the devil uses to destroy your life. If you can become prideful, then you won't wake up and you won't smell the spiritual roses, if you will, and then you won't keep yourself out of trouble. If your life is destroyed after you graduate, it will be your fault and nobody else's. A lot of times people try to blame people. So 1 Corinthians tells us that this was written, the people in this book are written for our example. Now, if you would, go back to Judges chapter 16. We're going to look at one of those guys in the book of Judges, one of those people, that we can look at their life, and it's almost like when God put this man's life in there from beginning to end, we sit back and we go, what a tragic story. And it's about the story of Samson. And Brother Johnson yesterday talked to us about those vows. And those vows that somebody took and what they could do and what they could not do. And it was specifically, the name that comes to our mind is the name of Samson. And look at Judges chapter 16 and verse number 18. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, come up this once, for he has showed me all his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her and brought money in their hand. And she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep and said, I will go out as at other times before, and shake myself. And he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. But the Philistines took him, look at it, verse number 21, wake up now, verse 21, but the Philistines took him and put out his eyes and brought him down to Gaza and bound him with fetters of brass and he did grind in the prison house. Please listen to me. This is a very sad story. Somebody with a lot of potential, look at me, young person, ends up bald, blind, bound, and here was how he spent the rest of his life. He spent the rest of his life just going in circles. He didn't go anywhere in life. He was bald, blind, bound, and grinding at the mill. Right now, you have your whole future ahead of you. But I can show you people that are in their 20s and in their 30s and in their 40s and in their 50s. And you know how they've spent their years since the teenage world? Bald, blind, bound, and grinding. They go nowhere. They're sad. To me, it's a sad sight when you meet people, they have no ambition in life. They have nothing to look forward to. And when they get tired, they'll slip back into church, and we see them that they used to be a part of the youth group, and they used to be going to youth conferences, but they're sad now. Listen to me, that doesn't have to happen to you. You don't have to end up that way. But if you end up that way, it is your decision and nobody else's decision. That's why you cannot start playing the blame game to where you say, well, I wouldn't be this way if it wasn't for my mom. No, you're that way because you chose to be that way. Well, I wouldn't be this way if I had better. You could have all the better you want, but you would still be that way because you choose to be that way. And that's why you're brought to the house of God to learn, how do I not end up blind, bald, bound, and just going in circles. You listen to me. When I was 15 and 16, I was on my way to another sad Samson story to where I was just going to spend the rest of my life grinding in a circle and going nowhere. We don't want that for you. We want to be able to wind you up as a teenager and then put you on the path after graduation, and you ought to walk down the path that decades after you're a teenager, you have accomplished something in life. You have a family to show for your life. You have monetary in the bank to show for your life. God has been good to you. Listen to me. The speakers you hear today had to make up their mind, I'm not going to be blind, and I'm not going to be bald, and I'm not going to be grinding the rest of my life. When I'm done being a teenager, I'm going to do something with my life. And I praise God that at 17, I woke up and realized, Bob, you can't keep doing this or you have nothing after graduation. Nothing. And I didn't want to end up being a sad story. Boy, so much potential in this room. Now I know the potential's tired right now, but so much potential in this room. And you know what's really crazy? Can I just tell you? Look at me. I'm not the prophet nor the son of a prophet, but you know what's really crazy? There's a difference between being tired and disinterested. There is a big difference between being tired and disinterested. Because those teenagers who are disinterested were disinterested on Monday night when they were totally awake. And those teenagers who are disinterested, they're disinterested on Wednesday morning having a tough schedule. But those who wanted to know what does God have to say, they were totally into the game on Monday night, and they're totally into the game on Wednesday morning. You want to know why? Because they're sitting here going, give me something that I can put into my life. How do I survive in such a wicked world? How do I make the best out of my life? Do you know what? A scholarship will not make you, and privileges will not make you. What you decide will make you. And if you're sitting here this morning and you're saying, Brother Bob, I don't want to be that guy that's bald and blind and grinding at the mill. I don't want to be that kind of person. Listen to me. Then let me give you, if I could, how to end up in a sad life. So if you want to end up in a sad life, I want you to take your pen out and write these things down. Are you ready? Here's how you end up with a sad life. I'm going to help you become bald. I'm going to help you become blind. And I'm going to help you to become bound and where you're grinding. Now, if you're smart, you'll write these things down and then don't do them. You got it? Don't do them. But if you really want to end up with a pathetic life, and listen to me, I mean pathetic. I meet them all the time to where somebody introduces to me and I'll shake the hand of a pathetic person. They're not going anywhere in life. And you ask them how old they are. Well, I'm 28. And what are you doing with your life? Well, I just haven't had the breaks other people have had. I'm still waiting for something to come through. Waiting for my grandpa to die, because once he dies, I'm in that inheritance for $12,000. Well, how old is he? 70? Is he in good health? Yeah. Well, you're going to be waiting a long time. I know, but if I hold out, I'll get my $12,000. Let me tell you, pathetic. Pathetic. And then girls. Oh, let me tell you something. There's nothing more pathetic than a bald girl. There is nothing more pathetic than a blind girl. There's nothing more pathetic than a girl. Can you even call him a girl? A female. Can you even call him a female? Opposite of a man. There's nothing more pathetic than to see a girl with cheap perfume, cheap hair dye, cheap makeup, and they have no ambition in life other than to be a valley girl. There really is no ambition. So if you want a sad life, let me give it to you. You ready? Let's take Samson's life. First of all, hate where God placed you. If you want to end up with a sad life, hate where God placed you. Do you know that Samson God allowed Samson to be born in the tribe of Dan, born in the small town of Zorah, and be part of a tribe that had the smallest piece of ground among the 12 tribes? Do you know that Samson was not from the big city, and Samson was not from the big tribe, and Samson was not from the big piece of ground? Do you know, literally, if I could put it this way, his geography was not very big. And let me tell you something, Samson did not like staying home. He was always going down someplace. He was always reaching out to another place. Let me tell you something. If you want a sad life, you hate where God put you right now. God knew what family you need to be a part of. God knew what church you needed to be a part of. And God knew what geography you needed to be a part of. So there is a reason why God put you where you are right now. And stop looking outside the fence and going, well, you know, if I lived in there, or I lived in Northern California, or if I lived in another state, or if I just could go to another school, or I could be part of another family, and why do I have to live here? Let me tell you why you have to live here. Is because God wanted you to live here. And when you settle down and love where God put you, then you're on your way to have an exciting life. But if you hate where God put you, hate it, let me tell you something, you'll end up with a sad life. Man, I hated being a preacher's kid. There for about 2 years, I hated it. Why do I have to be a gray? Why do I have to be in preacher's home? Why can't I go to a public school? Why can't I go to parties? Why do I have to be here? Longview, Texas, 80,000 people, Longview, Texas. We have a loop that only goes 3/4 of the way around the town. How can it be called a loop if it only goes 3/4 of the way around the town? We have a mall, big mall. We have 24 shops in our big mall. How can you call it a mall with only 24 shops? All the restaurants close at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. The only thing open all night is IHOP. Now, I'm going to tell you something. You want a sad story? You want to end up sad, pathetic, to where people feel sorry for you and hand you a bar of soap all the time? You want to feel sad the rest of your life? Hate where God put you. Right now, do you hate where God put you? And are you always thinking to yourself, well, why couldn't I have been put someplace else? Listen to me. There's a reason why God has placed you here. Second thing, I've got to hurry. Hate the restrictions put on you. If you want a sad story, hate the restrictions put on you. Hate it. Well, I can't do this, and I can't go there, and I can't listen to that, and I can't wear that. Hate the fact that they make you wear a dress, ladies. Hate it. Hate it. Hate the fact, guys, that they make you cut your hair. Hate the fact that they make you dress up for church. Did you hear that? Dress up for church. Now, I know this is Tuesday morning, we're getting ready to play activities, but you hear that? Dress up for church, guys. And can I tell you something? You see that right there? Don't let it shock you. That's called a tie. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? That's called a tie. I don't know if you know this or not, but that's called a top button on the tie. And there's an amazing thing that happens in an attitude when you come into church like this versus coming into the church house with the creator of this shirt meant for that tie. Sorry. But your top button. I turn around. Your neck's too big? Start walking some more steps. And but listen, hate the restrictions. Hate it. Hate it. In fact, look at everybody else doing what they want to do and hate it. And you listen to me, you'll end up grinding the rest of your life bald. Bald. Because in your life, God knew where you needed to be. Listen to this. God knew what you didn't need to do. If I grew up in any other home, listen to me, I would not be standing before you right now. Because God knew I couldn't handle the divorced home. If Bob and Leanne Gray would have got a divorce, Bob Gray II, I would have used both of them against each other. Man, that'd been great growing up. You want to know why? I could go to Dad's house and live which way I wanted to live. I could go to Mom's house and live which way I want to live. But God said, Bob Gray, you're going to be born here. And Bob Gray, this is what you're not going to be allowed to do. Let me tell you, I told my mom that I was 16 walking through the mall. My mom and dad told, I shouldn't tell you this. I cannot believe I'm telling you this. My mom would tell me, boy, don't you smoke. Don't you smoke, boy. Smoking's of the devil. Smoking straight out of hell. It's bad. Bad, son, bad. And I remember walking with my mom through the mall. We passed a pipe shop. I was 16 years of age, and I stopped and said, hold it, Mom. Stop. My mom stopped. She goes, what? I said, take a deep breath. She said, what? I said, what do you smell? She said, pipe smoke. And I said, if it's so bad, how come that smells so good? She was like, stop it, son. You're just trying to get out of how you're being raised. Don't smoke it. I said, but if I get to heaven and find out it's okay to smoke a pipe, I'm going to hate you. She said, you ain't going to get to heaven and find Jesus with a pipe in his mouth going, this is good stuff. You're not going to find it, son. And I was like, but if I do, let me tell you something. They made cologne that was, now I better stop. So, hate the restrictions God placed on you. Listen to this. He could have no grapes. He could have no strong drink. He couldn't touch any unclean thing. He couldn't even be associated. As Brother Johnson told us so greatly yesterday, he couldn't even be associated with anything leading up to it. What a boring life. But if you hate what you're being asked to do. Number 3, are you ready? Sneak around and do the forbidden. If you want a sad life, sneak around and do the forbidden. Everything that you can't do, sneak around and do it. Don't tell anybody. And by the way, do this. Make a joke about it. You know, because once he touched the dead thing and once he got the honey, you know what he did? He made a riddle out of it. I'm not smart as much as you are, teenagers, but you listen to me. There is a spirit sometimes among teenagers that when you walk into the middle of cool guys and cool ladies, you know, that they think they have it all together, and they got this little code of humor that is wrapped around bad that they've done. You can tell the difference between a good group of teenagers that have a free spirit and a group of teenagers who are up to no good. And you listen to me. Again, I'm not the prophet nor the son of a prophet, but when I mingle among teenagers, I can tell you this. There are some, I passed a row of girls today, and I shook their hand once. Well, I came back through, and I shook their hand twice, and they were like, let's shake it 3. We're up to, I think, 5 times right now shaking hands, and I think that they're crazy. I think they're local in the cabeza. I think something's lacking right up there. But there's other groups of teenagers that I meet that they're all like, ASA. You can't even talk to them and say, hey, we're too cool for you. You know what that's based on? Let me tell you what that's based on. That's based on a group of people doing the forbidden in secret and making jokes of stuff they do wrong. And it's a hidden culture, and that to me is sad because the world has reserved a grindstone and a barber and some bondage for those kind of people. So if you want to end up a sad story, do the forbidden in secret. Can I ask you a question? What are you doing right now in secret that you know you should not be doing? What kind of music are you listening to? What kind of TV are you watching? What kind of things are you into? Because if you're into stuff that is forbidden, you are setting yourself up for a sad story. Because you listen to me. You do the forbidden in here, and you are creating an inner boldness that when you're done being a teenager and you step out into this world, let me tell you what's about to happen. You step into this world, the forbidden you did in secret becomes something you're bold about in public. You say that's impossible. No, it's not. Christian school graduations, the day after or the night of, are some of the most heathenistic parties I have ever been to. Want to know why? Because now we're not underneath the Christian school. I have seen them go to the other side of the platform and turn the tassel walk down, and then walk out the back door, get into a limousine that was rented by one of their heathen parents, and go to a house and have a party and do things opposite of how they were raised. You want to know how that happened? Because they were always doing the forbidden inside their heart. And though it's just sad, pathetic, sad, pathetic. You get the crow's feet of booze, and you get the oldness of parties and that kind of lifestyle. Don't be that kind of person. You won't look good bald. You won't look good sad. So how did they have a sad life? Hate where God placed you. Hate the restrictions put on you. Sneak around and do the forbidden. Can I give you the next one? Don't listen to the little talks your parents have with you. Don't listen to the little talks your parents have with you. You know what Samson's parents tried to do? Samson's parents tried to talk with him. Son, is there never anybody that's good enough for you? I don't want to listen. You get her for me. Don't listen to the little talks. It is the little things. Now, I can tell you this. I would much rather my parents have beat me half to death than talk to me. How many are there? How many are there? You know, let me tell you something. Every time my mother would say, we need to talk. Come here. No. Mama, no. If you're going to go back to when you were a teenager and how your life was, I've heard that story 100,000. Mom, don't talk. Mom, I'll just take a whipping. Mom, just beat me, but please don't lecture me. Whenever Dad would say, son, can I see you after the service in my office? I was like, no. He said, son, I promise I'm not going to whip you. I know. He said, then what's wrong? I said, Dad, are you going to talk? And he was like, well, of course, son. I said, Dad, please, don't talk to me. Just whip me. Kill me. Break an arm. But Dad, don't lecture me. I don't want to hear for the 100th time how you made it through, Grandpa. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear those pivotal times when I was at Michigan State University. I don't want to hear those things. Dad, I don't want to hear when I was a freshman in high school. Dad, I don't care when you were a freshman in high school. Can I tell you, though, those you teenagers here right now that will not let somebody walk up to you. Can I use your Brother Ross? Will not let somebody walk up to you and put their arm around you and say, could I talk to you just a second? You will not listen to instruction. You will not listen to somebody's wisdom. You won't let somebody give you a 30-second window into your behavior. You listen to me. You're headed for the grindstone, and you're going to have a sad life. Thank you. Because everybody who rejects instructions, the book of Proverbs is very clear, they end up in the snare. Everyone who will not receive what mom and dad want to tell them, you end up making mistakes. There's a reason why God put your parents in your life, is to give you those little glimpses of what you should not be doing. Hey, son, don't say that. Hey, daughter, don't do that. Hey, don't sit that way. Don't do that. And every teenager goes, I just don't talk to me. Listen to me. You're going to end up bald. You're going to end up blind. You're going to end up bound. And you'll go nowhere in life because you won't let anybody tell you what to do at all. How do you create a sad story? You say, well, I really want to become sad. Then hate where God put you. Hate the restrictions. Sneak around, do the forbidden. Don't listen to the little talks your parents have with you. You ready? Number 5, become associated with people who have different gods. Become associated with people who have different gods. Your friends are going to destroy you if you're not careful. Do you know what the gods were? It was Dagon. You know what Dagon God was? It was a head of a man, body of a fish. How you like that one? That was the gods of the people he was running with. Let me tell you, you better wake up and get yourself away from people who have different gods. Some of you are followers. It only takes one. Let me tell you something. It only takes one cool guy in a group. Everybody else is a stinking follower. And when I was a youth pastor, I always looked for that one guy that was the factor in any group. And when I stepped into the youth group and we were there, let me tell you something. And you 4 guys seem to clump together, and this has nothing to do with you guys because you're on the front row and doing great, okay? Don't you hate these kind of illustrations? But listen to me. All I would do to set the atmosphere right is I would take the leader of the pack and I would say, let me see if I can use my youth pastor skills here. I would take the leader of the pack and I would simply say, can I use you real quick? Would that be okay? Yeah, why don't you come here? Can you do me a favor? I'm so glad you're willing to help. Could I get you to go stand in that back door back there and just kind of make sure nobody comes in? Could you do that for me? There you go. And just kind of put your hand on that door and just kind of stand there. And if anybody comes in, just, Yeah. Let me tell you something. Because once you get the leader of the pack out, the followers don't know how to respond. And now I'm in control. Me. Oh, 100 times. 100 times I would just say, you 4 girls right there, you're doing your hair. Can I get you to do me a favor? Can I get you to scoot up and fill in that chair right there? Could you do that for me? There you go. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm not saying they're bad girls, but I would walk around before the youth meeting and I would just find out, okay, what people who are worshiping Dagon. I'm looking for those people that have a different God. And let me tell you something, I am so going to disrupt their kingdom because there's only one leader, and I have to be able to get them off their heels. But you know what? You know who the leader is. You guys can go back. You can go back and sit down. I didn't mean to embarrass you. Come on, the door's fine. You did a good job, man. There you go. I'm not saying they're bad. Please forgive me, you know. I learned how to do the Catholic thing from Brother Johnson last night. So please listen to me because I have a couple of minutes left. Don't be associated. But you know what's crazy? You know your friends better than the leader. Nobody ever, you know the last time I've been invited to a party? Nobody ever comes and says, hey, we're going to have a dance party down there. You want to come? No junior has ever walked up to me and said, hey, we're kind of running away from home tonight. You want to come? You want to drive for us? No, nobody ever does that. Nobody walks up and says, hey, here's the latest Taylor Swift MP3, man. Listen to this streetwalker sing. And ooh, that didn't go over too well. I got a couple of grins on that one. You're worshiping a Dagon. You're worshiping a freak. And let me tell you something. This world has always had that unique ability to raise up freaks, destroy them, and put them back down. And you and I cannot have, so don't become associated. Next, are you ready? And I think this is what Brother Johnson was kind of preaching on the other night. Become stubborn about what you want. Become stubborn. Don't give in. Hold your breath till you're 18. Hold your breath till you get out of the house. I'm not going to change. You can't tell me what. Become stubborn. And I promise you, you'll have a sad life. How to have a happy life? Are you ready? Do the opposite of all 3 of these. Love where God placed you. Love it. Wake up every day and say, do you know what? I get to be in a home that's weird. This is great. Start loving the fact I get to go get a haircut. Wow. Walk into the barbershop and say, guess what? I get to get a haircut today. Isn't this wonderful? I get to listen to music that is sad and will put you to sleep sometimes. Let me tell you something. When I got right with God, my music went from way out here. Are you ready? I listened to every genre of music. I mean, I listened to jazz. I listened to classical. I listened to rock. I tried hip hop. I tried heavy metal. That gave me a headache. I tried country with the boot, scoot, and boogie. And I tried all these different genres of music. But when I decided I'm going to love where God placed me, and I am going to love what I can't do, I'm going to love this world. I had to listen to Ed Wobler. Remember Brother Ed? Brother Ed Wobler put out a cassette tape, and I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm getting rid of all my music. I need some good music. Now, my dad is like old. He says, son, the kind of music you need to listen to is Ed Wobler. And I was like, Dad, who's Ed Wobler? He said him and Ray Hart are like that. You'll love Ed Wobler. Do you love Ray Hart? I said, I don't even know who Ray Hart is. He said, because if you love Ray Hart, you'll love Ed Wobler. I can remember. Now, young people back then, cassette tapes. 30 minutes on one side, 30 minutes on the other side, and you had to change sides. There weren't tracks. There were tapes. And I remember putting it in because when I listened to the wrong kind of music, I had big old giant headsets that are coming back. But they weren't the bling, bing, bong, whatever it is. They had leather, pleather, plastic and leather put together, and they're on there. So I put my headset on, and I'm ready. I am ready for the experience of a wow, because now I'm going to do it God's way. And so I put Ed Wobler in, and I pushed play. Do you know what Ed Wobler sounded like? I'm going to give you a little sample. I put it in, and I'm sitting in my beanbag, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be good. Lights are down low, because that's how I used to listen to my music. And let me tell you something. Sitting in a beanbag, you can get the swag on. Let me tell you something. It was like, What, did I say an up-to-date word, swag? I think I did. Anyways, I better stop because it's probably a bad word, and it's probably that kind of word. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I push play, and all of a sudden it's like, how great thou art! How great thou art! O Lord my God, when I am awesome wonder, consider all the works thy hands have made. I'm in the dark and I'm thinking to myself, dear God, somebody turn on the lights quick. What have I gotten myself? I can remember taking the headset off, putting it down. I'm 17, putting it down. Walking out to my dad, he said, good music, isn't it? I'll try. Can I tell you though, when I started loving the family God put me in, and I started loving the boundaries, can I tell you next, and I didn't want to do the sneaking around. I started loving being honest. And let me tell you something, I got 3 minutes. Being honest is a trip. Because when you decide to be honest, everybody's got to live with your honesty. Son, what'd you think about that? I hated it. I'm honest. I hated it. Oh, really? Yeah. Son, what'd you think about? Dad, I didn't like it. Son, how do you feel? Dad, I really want to kill somebody right now. Really? Dad, this tape of Ed Wobler, not my style. You got anything better? He said, yeah, try Ray Hart. We ain't getting any better. He said, well, try Rudy Atwood. He was a piano. Dad, you don't understand. I got to have bass. I got to have rhythm. I got to have, Dad, that's what I'm used to. He said, son, that's not the way you need to live. I said, yes, white men can't jump, but they sure can dance. Let me tell you something. I think I can get this done. I started, then the honesty, because my dad would say, son, what's bothering you? And when I learned to be honest about everything, then my life turned around. And then next, are you ready? I used to listen to the little talks. I used to, Dad, what do you think I need to do about this? I so wore my dad out, came a point, said, son, I'm tired of answering your stupid questions. Stop asking me questions. Yes, that's how I get them off my back. Next. I did not associate with friends who had different gods. I honestly had to look at my friends and say, it's not my style. I love you, but it's not my style. And then the last thing is this. Are you ready? I started yielding who I was. I truly have no will. And I had to come to the point to where it was like, I don't care. I'm probably too laid back. You know, Deacon came in the other day and said, I'm mad and I'm leaving. I was like, good. Need any help? He goes like, what? I said, do you need any help? You need help moving? You need a stamp? I mean, I don't know what you need. He goes, seriously, aren't you supposed to get mad? And I said, what am I going to do? Come on, you can't leave. Let me put you all in a room and I'll lock you up. You can't go. What am I supposed to do? He goes like, really? Yeah. My wife the other day, her and I got into a discussion, not a debate. When you're a preacher, you do not debate with your wife. You do not fight. You discuss. And she had an opinion, ladies. She had an opinion. And she was right. And I hated it. But she could tell that I knew she was right. And can I tell you something? It was like, okay, that's what we're going to do. My dad used to use the illustration, I'm done with this, that he said, if your wife changes everything around the house, just walk in and just say, wow, the couch is in front of the door. Amazing place to put the couch. You knew I would be tired, and you knew I would just want to lay down. Wow, what a wonderful place to put the couch. Gasoline cans by the stove. Wonderful. This is a great way to do it. Can I tell you, when you just relax and go, God, thank you for where you put me. Please don't live a sad life. It's not worth it. Don't live a sad life. Get rid of your issues. Get everything cleaned up. And I think what you can find out is you'll be a happy person and you'll go someplace. Don't be pathetic. Don't let me meet you 10 years down the road and pathetic. And if you meet Brother Johnson 10 years down the road, just push his wheelchair off to the side and then go from there. So God bless you, brother.